In this video, we are going to talk about the default MyListing header, which by default stretches the full width of the screen. It is set to full width in the theme options. We're going to talk about why and how you might want to adjust that to be content width or boxed width, okay? And I'm going to show you how to easily do that and how I approached it for my own MyListing project, all right? So again, by default, MyListing ships with a full width header. We see that by going into our WordPress dashboard, theme tools, theme options, and we click on header and we see a header width of full width. Now, hypothetically, let's say that you wanted to adjust it to the content width of your site. You can change this to boxed and you can adjust this slider or punch in the information here. The problem with this out of the box by default is you can only go up to 1200. So what if 1200 pixels? So what if you want to go higher? You can't do it unless you have CSS, okay? So what we're going to do here is we're going to go with the assumption that we want to set by default content width, box width across your entire website, and then use CSS or editing. In our case, what we're going to do is we're going to edit individual pages with Elementor, and we're going to set our full width on strategic pages. So we're going to get into that here in a second. So what we want to do is set, again, header width. We're going to change it to boxed, and it doesn't really matter what your value is over here because we're going to overwrite that. Let's go ahead and save that setting. So Ryan, why would you want to do boxed width, content width over full width? Let's look at some examples. Here we have the actual website, the demo website from 27 Collective, which is the team that builds the MyListing theme. We see that even they go with a content width, a boxed width header layout. That is because as you scroll down here, you'll see that all of the content is towards the center, which is boxed width, content width. I'm just going to keep using those words together. Okay, so that is an example that's coming from the MyListing team. Let's look at one of the top designers in all of WordPress, in my opinion, Ollie. We see the same thing, content width, boxed width. And this is despite content going edge to edge here. So we see this scrolling graphic here. It's going literally edge to edge, but we see that the content width, the box width header still works in this case. Looking at another one of the top designers, in my opinion, in WordPress, we see they have a content width, a boxed width header, and their content is actually boxed width in most cases, if not all. Okay, so again, those are in my opinion, two of the top designers in all of WordPress. Now let's look at a different example. This is the WordPress.org website itself. So this is by obviously the WordPress team. They chose to go full width. Looking at their content, a lot of it is boxed width, content width. Coming down here, we do see some full width elements. Okay, and the footer is kind of full width there. I guess it's pretty much full width. But it does, in my opinion, look a little strange. I'm not really sure I like full width on this site. Let's go click on a different page. It doesn't look that bad here. But yeah, it's not that bad. It's just I'm not 100% sold on this being a full width header here. But, some are going to be okay with that. I've actually, on my site, influencewp.com, I for years was fine with full width, and I wanted to change that. I actually had some not direct feedback, but being on social media, I heard people say, not about Influence WP, but just say about design in general, like they hate it when websites have full width headers, but most of their content is content width, boxed width. So it's always kind of stuck with me that maybe I should think about changing that. And I think they were right. So I let this go for years. And then I finally, recently it's like, I'm going to make a change. All right. So that is the backstory. So we have in our theme options, just to recap, we've set now a boxed a boxed width header. All right. And it doesn't matter, again, what you set for the value here because we are going to overwrite that. So the next thing we're going to do is however it is that you add CSS to your website, and I will include this in the description of the video, you're going to add this CSS to your site. And this line right here defines the width of your header. So you may need to adjust this based on your site. You will, in most cases, need to adjust it. So it's 1250 right there, 1250 pixels. Let's look at why and you might want to set that to a specific setting. So if we go over to our pages, let's just edit any page with Elementor. Doesn't matter which one, we just need to get into the global settings, the site settings. We're going to click on this Elementor icon in the top left, go to site settings. We're going to go down to layout. This is the default layout for your entire website. And by that, it's the content width, as it says here. All right, so content width, once again, is this area right here. That is your content. Scrolling down, this, oops, sorry about that. This is your content right here in the center. So that's the width that we are defining. 1140 is the default Elementor width. Nowadays, with modern web design, that's typically way too small. I would say at a minimum, you go to something like 1200. Okay, maybe you go to 1250 as a minimum. So we're going to set that to 1250. We're then going to go back over to our WP code box and just remind you once again that we have the same header. Our header width matches now our page width. So let's go refresh our site. There we go. So now we see that the header matches the content width. If it's not perfectly lined up, again, it depends on the design and the element that you have. It also depends on your logo. For example, let's go back a step. If your logo here has padding on the left-hand side and it's pushing it inwards, it's not going to align up. It's not going to line up here. So you can adjust that. But as we see, it's clearly a bit. Let's go line up these items. See how everything is inward a little bit on the header. Let's do that same thing over here. Again, slightly inward. It looks like 10 pixels, 20 pixels maybe on each side. So what we can do then is just go back into our code snippet and let's adjust this. Let's just make this 1300. There we go. So this looks good. Now maybe that's too far. So let's go back one more time. Let's go. We had 1250. It doesn't have to be, you want it to be as perfect as possible, but it depends on who I'm talking to here in this video and who's trying to do this, like how perfect you want to be. I like to be perfect with it, or try my best to be perfect with it. So we have 1275 there. There we go. So that looks pretty good. That's lining up. Let's try it on the other side. There we go. All right, so that's good enough. So now our content, our header width matches our content width. It looks really good in this case. Okay. All right, so that is that. Now, let's say you go to your Explore page. This is another page that I think, or a page I think that needs to be full width. That looks weird in my opinion. So what we want to do then is go over to our pages again. We want to go to that Explore page, edit it with Elementor. We click on this page settings icon. We go to header and we toggle on customize this header. All right. Now you want to configure, this is a little side information. You want to make sure you configure all, the background and border and all of that to match what you have in your theme options. Okay. So let me explain that. So if you go over to theme tools and theme options, if your header background color is black, you just want to make sure that on any pages you are specifically customizing the header, you want to make sure that it matches. So I would come in here and I would just make sure that my header or my background color matches my theme options, and my border does as well. So I'm going to set this to black for the border. The rest of this is fine. Yeah, you just want to make sure everything matches up with your theme options header settings. Okay, the difference here, this is the main point, is we don't want the width to be boxed here. We want to override our CSS. We want to say full width and click publish. Now we go to the front end, back to that Explore page. There we go, full width. So there's three types of pages, in my opinion, that should be full width. And that's Explore page, My Account page, and Listings. Okay, so we took care of the Explore page. Let's go back to the home page. We see that is still content width. Our Explore page is full width. So let's go over to our account page. So under the My Listing user menu, we're going to go to our dashboard, and we see that this is content width. It's not too bad. You might be able to live with this. It just depends on your setup. That actually doesn't look too bad. You could leave that as is, but I've seen a lot of cases where there's a lot of, it depends. If you have a lot more tabs up here at the top, you probably want to look at something like full width. And I've already shown you how to do that, so we won't do that again. But this looks pretty good on this particular site. Now, the other thing is listings. We definitely want those to be full width. So if we come over here, you're typically going to have, on most My Listing websites, you're going to have a gallery up here, all right, or a big cover image. So if we go to, let's go to the My Listing demo. Let's go into it, listing. Here we see that the full width works well. But even so, maybe this even could be content width. But you just the same thing concept. Here, the header is controlled in a completely different section. It's not under header, it's under single listing. You could set this to box width here. Again, what you put in this value does not matter. Update. Let's look at that listing again. There we go. So that's going to match our settings, which again, in WP Codebox in this case, right here, we are setting that value here. And just to test this out and show you that it works on single listings too, let's just make it really small, 275 pixels. Let's refresh our listing. There we go. So we see that it's working. That's obviously not what we want. So let's go back over here and make that 1275. There we go. Okay, so to recap again, if you don't have to just roll with the default full width across your entire site. I wanted to show people how to easily do boxed width across the whole site if that's what they want to do. And then on strategic pages, make them full width. All right. So on my own project, you'll see I've implemented this, influencewp.com. The header matches the content width of the site. All right. If I go into the directory, I went full width with that based on my design. I think this looks best. Going into an actual listing, here I stuck with full width. Doing this video now, I'm considering going boxed width. So I would go over here into our theme tools, theme options. Single listing, header width, boxed, save. Again, we don't have to adjust these settings. There we go. So based on my design, though, you see that this is a little bit, doesn't line up perfectly because the logo kind of goes in a little bit. So all I really need to do in this case is adjust my logo to make sure there's no padding on the left and right if that's what I want to do. But here you see how that's not lining up. So that's why I chose and why I probably will stick with full width on my listings. Okay, I think that looks fine. The rest of the site is going to be boxed width. The directory is going to be full width, and the individual listings are going to be full width. And the account page also is going to be full width. All right. So one more time, my personal preference based on my design, all the pages are boxed width, container content width by default. The pages I have that I want full width are the actual listings, the account page, which you're looking at right now, and the explore pages. Those are the key pages I think that typically are going to be full width, right? There are nuances to it. Everybody designs differently. Everybody's site looks different. Everybody wants something different. But I wanted to show this because 99% of the time you go to a MyListing website, they just go with the full width because they don't know that there's options out there. So wanted to show you those options and show you how to implement those. And I will see you all in the next video.